So we're continuing in the Tosefta. It's a supplement to the Mishnah. We're in Parak 9. And I wanted to point out, if I'll have a affiliate link in the description for this Tosefta. It's just an English translation. There's no Hebrew, but there's also going to be a link for Safaria. So Parak Tet, chapter 9. Rabbi Shimon ben Eleazar says, they moved the witness from place to place to confuse him. Rabbi Yoshi says, they did not have to ask in what septenente, in what year, in what month, and in what day of the month. But on what day, at what time, in what place? Do you know him? Did you warn him? Right? So with what did he kill him? Did he kill him with a sword or a staff? Did he hit him on his leg? Did he hit him on the belly button? Bird of life. In which direction was he facing when he killed him? If one of the witnesses says it was on the 2nd of the month, and one of the witnesses says it was on the 3rd of the month, their testimony stands. For not everybody is an expert in the matter of intercalculation. If one of them says at 2 hours, and one of them says at 3, their testimony stands. For nobody is an expert in the matter of telling time. If one of them says at 3, and one of them says at 5, their testimony is null. Rabbi Yehuda says their testimony stands. If one of them says at 5 and one of them says at 7, their testimony is null. For everybody knows that at 5 the sun is at the east, and at 7 the sun is at the west. And if their statements check out, the most important judge opens the argument in favor of acquittal, and his fellow supports him. If they found him innocent, they send him away. If not, they postpone judging him until the next day. They come together in pairs and would not eat very much or drink wine that entire day, and they would discuss the matter all that night. If he was a murderer, they discuss the passage which deals with murderer. If he was one who had sexual relations with a forbidden relative, they discuss the passage which deals with fornication. And the next day they would get up and come to court. The court officers call on each one, Judge so-and-so and Judge such and such. If he answered, I held him innocent and now I hold him innocent, they accept that statement. Next, I held him innocent and now I hold him guilty. They do not accept that statement. I held him guilty and now I hold him innocent. They accept that statement. I held him guilty and now I hold him guilty. They said to him, explain your opinion first. If one of those who had held him innocent made a mistake in his opinion, the scribes of the court remind him. If one of those who hold the accused guilty erred, the scribes of the judges do not remind him. But they say to him, explain your opinion afresh. And if now found him innocent, they send him off. And if not, they rise to a vote. If 36 vote for acquittal and 35 vote for conviction, he is acquitted. If 36 vote for conviction and 35 vote for acquittal, they debate the matter with another, until one of those who votes for conviction says, I accept the arguments of those who vote for acquittal. If one of the disciples said, I have an argument to offer in favor of acquittal, they receive him in a friendly manner. And promote him and seat him among the judges. And if there is substance in what he has to say, they dismiss the accused. And the disciple did not go down from that position. And if not, he did not go down from that position that entire day. So that people should not say his going up was his downfall. If the accused said, I have something to say in behalf of my own innocence, they pay attention to him. If he said, I have something to say in favor of my own conviction, they emphatically shut him up. A witness does not give an argument either for acquittal or for conviction. Rabbi Yoshi ben Rabbi Yehuda says, he may argue in favor of acquittal, but he may not argue in favor of conviction. If 12 vote for acquittal and 11 vote for conviction, he is acquitted. If 12 vote for conviction and 11 vote for acquittal, the 11 vote for conviction and one says, I have no opinion, they add to the number of judges, until there is a majority of 1 for acquittal or 2 for conviction. Rabbi Yoshi says, let them go back and vote as at the outset. And even if the convicted party says, I have something to say in favor of my own acquittal, they bring him back. 1 time, 2 times, even 3 times. Whether or not there is substance in what he has to say, they pay attention to him. From that point on, if there is substance in what he has to say, they pay attention to him, and if not, they do not pay attention to him. Those who are put to death by a court have a portion in the world to come, because they confess all their sins. When he was 10 cubits from the place of stoning, they say to him, confess. There was a person who went out to be stoned. They said to him, confess. He said, let my death be my atonement for all my sins. But if I did this thing, let him not forgive me. Let the Israelite court be free of guilt for my blood, which they shed now. Now when this was reported to the sages, their eyes filled with tears. They said to him, to bring him back is not possible, for there will be no end to the matter. But lo, his blood is on the head of those who have testified against him. And so it says about Achan that he has a share in the world to come. And the sons of Zerah are Zimri, Etan, Heman, Kalkol, Darda, 5 in all. 1 Chronicles 2:6. Now do we know that they are 5 in all. But Scripture thereby teaches that also Achan was with them in the world to come. When he was 4 cubits from the place of stoning, they remove his clothes. In the case of a man, they cover him up in front, in part, and in the case of a woman, in front and back, as by a part. For a woman is wholly subject to licentious thoughts, the words of Rabbi Yehuda, which he said in the name of Rabbi Eliezer. The sages say a man is stoned naked, but a woman is not stoned naked. The place of stoning is twice the height of a man. And since he also is the height of a man, lo, there are 3 heights of a man. Rabbi Shimon says there was a stone there, a load so heavy that it was a burden for 2 to carry. One takes it and puts it on his heart, so as to carry out the religious requirement of stoning. And when they hang him, one ties him up and one unties him immediately afterward to carry out the religious requirement of hanging. Rabbi Meir would say, why does Scripture say, for one which is hanged is cursed by God? Deuteronomy 21, verse 23. The matter is comparable to 2 brothers who are identical twins. One was king over the whole world, and one joined a gang of thieves. After a while, this one, who had gone out to join the thieves, was caught, and they crucified him on a cross. And everyone who went by said, this one who is being crucified looks just like the king. Therefore it is said, for one who is hanged is a curse of God. The sword with which one is killed, the cloth of which he is strangled, the stone with which he is crushed, and the wood on which he is hung, all of them require immersion. But they did not bury them with him. When his flesh had rotted, agents of the court gather up the bones, bury them in a sarcophagus. And even if he were a king of kings, they would not bury him in the burial grounds of his ancestors, but in the burial grounds of the court. There were 2 graveyards made ready for the use of the court, one for those who were beheaded or strangled, and one for those who were stoned or burned. And so David says, do not gather my soul with the sinners, Psalms 26, verse 9. 4 modes of execution were given over to the court. But to the civil regime was given over only death by the sword alone. Said Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok. He says, I was a child and I was riding on my father's shoulders, and I saw the daughter of a priest who had committed adultery, and they put bundles of twigs around her and burned her. And they said to him, you were a child, and a child has no evidence to contribute to our discussion. Rabbi Yehuda says, lo, it says, and you will love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19, verse 18. Choose for him an easy death. What do they do to him? In the case of decapitation, they put his head on a block and chop it off with an axe. They said to him, there is no form of death more disgusting than this. As it is said, you will not follow their ordinances. 18, verse 3.